What would you do if you had to give up your freedom?
Well, that's also a
Um,
valid question in 2024.
yeah.
Sorry.
Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Elhassan. That's Charlotte Wilder in our New York studio. God damn it, we're going to talk about Pacers Bucks one more time. I
Thank
can't get
God.
enough.
If I don't look up at my television and see Pacers Bucks playing at least every other night, I'm going to write a strongly worded email to Adam Silver.
Back in the day, you would play your division rival when there were only like 24 teams in the league. You would play the division rival 5, 6, 7 times, right? So I don't think anyone cares that the Pistons played Detroit last night. You know, you could take one of those games away off the schedule and put onto the schedule another Pacers Bucks.
Pistons played Detroit.
See? Shows how much I care.
Bucks and Pacers. Again, the Pacers just handed them their hats. Is that a saying?
Yeah, I think so. Like when you're being shown the door, they give you your hat. Like, here's your hat, you know, because back in the day, people had to take their hats off and put on the hat rack or whatever. So it's like, here, take your hat, you know, get out of here. Like, oh, well, I'll just keep my things and go. You know, like that's how it used to be, like in the 30s.
Right. Okay. So where the time that I come from.
Yeah. See?
But yeah, I love watching them. I love watching them. Tyrese, that behind the back pass where he like flipped it over his head to Miles Turner. You can't. I didn't even see it happen. It happened so fast that I was like, how did the ball go from Tyrese to Turner to the basket? I did. It's like magic.
Like magic in every sense of the word. You know, like in the last 5 games, he's had 76 assists. Guess how many turnovers?
I think is it like
now, hold
3?
on. Let me say this. 76 assists. Now, typically, if you have an assist to turnover ratio of 3-1, that was like, oh, you're really good. Wow, that's excellent. 4-1. Right. Oh my God, he's really, really efficient with it. Right, to the point where people thought assist to turnover ratio was a bad stat because it discouraged risk taking. Like inherently in getting assists, if you're a good playmaker, is a certain amount of risk baked in. I'm trying to create offensive opportunities. We're not talking about swing. We're talking about threading the needle and throwing lob passes and things like that. So 3-1, you're good. 4-1, whoa, look at this guy. What do you think?
6.
7.
76
assists to 7 turnovers. That is a shade under 11-1 of an assist to turnover ratio.
I'd heard at some point his assist ratio was, you know, some insane number to 3. So I was like, well, maybe it just stayed at 3 because that's how good this guy is. Like I'm not going to count him out when it comes to stats that are absolutely nuts.
First of all, he's fun to watch, man. Like let's just start there. He's so fun to watch, but it's not like, hey, this guy puts up stats, but I don't know how good he really is. It's, oh, that's why they're good.
Right.
And for him to do it against one of the contending teams in the league, the Milwaukee Bucks, and to do it multiple times now. This isn't like, oh, he had a good game, we'll get him next time. Like he's doing this. This is what he does to you. He does this again and again and again. And he added 30, like the 31 points is almost like the cherry on top. Like, oh yeah, by the way, he dropped 30 on him. Like I'm stuck on this dude slicing and dicing teams up. And I know the Bucks aren't the defense that they once were, but 12 assists to, I believe, what was it? 0 turnovers last night? Yeah. 12 assists, 0 turnovers.
First of all, the joy that he plays with. Like, he is so happy to be out there. He smiles more than I feel like any other player. He gets the crowd involved. Environment determines more about individual performance than individual character, because the environment you're in, you mold yourself to that. And seeing Tyrese, he inspires the other guys around him. He's like, I'm having so much fun. You're having fun with me. He is creating opportunities for them. He is the reason that they can get those shots off. He's a very generous player. Right. Yes, it makes basketball sense, but it also makes team chemistry sense. And I think that is also really fun to watch, because you see other guys light up and just, you know, it's infectious.
I've always said like 5% of the NBA are guys that are, no matter where you put them, no matter how bad the locker room is, no matter how bad the environment is, no matter how bad the situation is, They're going to be consummate pros. They're going to do the right things. They're going to eat the right things. They're going to like have reasonable, balanced work-life schedule stuff. They're going to get their work in. They're going to be competitive. They're going to be positive, all those things, right? Doesn't matter where you put them. 5%, doesn't matter where you put them. They're always going to be pieces of shit, right? They're always going to be the guys that are going out late and staying out and not taking care of their bodies and not, practicing hard, doing the bare minimum to get by, basically. It doesn't matter if they could be in the locker room of all Hall of Famers who are driven. They're just going to be who they are. The remaining 90%, they're just following what the crowd is doing. We a good locker room. We all like, okay, I'm going to do the good stuff. We're a bad locker room. We're selfish. Okay, I'm going to be bad and selfish as well.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important when you get a guy like Tyrese Haliburton. But then when that person is also your best player, it's through the roof. That's why guys like Steph Curry and Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett and LeBron James, like that's kind of what pushes them to that next echelon. It's not just that they're great players. It's also, these are great teammates. They take care of their pals or whatever. They make sure everyone feels included and everyone comes to work with a sense of purpose. And it's not just the players. The coaches feel it. The staff members feel it. Everybody feels it when you got a guy like that. Conversely, you can have a great player who is an energy suck. They come in and everyone's like these are the things that really push it over the top. This is when you say, oh, we didn't just get a good player. Like we got a franchise level player, a guy who can carry this team for years to come. And so now, instead of being on a constant hunt of like, oh, we need a franchise player, we need a star or whatever. Now you're the Indiana Pacers, like now you get to phase 2, which is how do I find the right guys to surround him with?
Yeah, I think too that when you see Haliburton surrounded by some of the right guys, I would say, I think a lot of the right guys. I think when you watch him and the team play against the Bucks, it also becomes clear, people talk about joy a lot on players' faces and how they play, but I think it's actually a different word. I think it's delight. I think that these guys are delighting in what they're doing, and I think that there's the high of winning, but there's also the high of like everything's clicking, you're firing on all cylinders.
Yep.
But I think it's also, yes, you see it in terms of how the Bucks are playing against the Pacers, but you also see it in attitude. Like I feel like Damian Lillard just completely deflates against the Pacers, and I feel like Giannis gets frustrated, and then they can't work together, and you see everything just sort of crumble, especially in the last quarters of all of these games. So I just pray to God or whoever's out there that we get a playoff matchup between.
Existential crisis for Charlotte Wilders. I pray to God or whoever's out there.
Exactly. I want to cover my bases. I mean, do it in the playoffs.
She gets to the afterlife and says, "To be fair, I left the door open."
Right, there are all these gremlins around me, and I'm like, I didn't say you weren't there.
Yeah, I had left the door open. Is it trouble in paradise or is it paradise in paradise? Because this is the matchup of two paradise teams, Miami and LA. And the Heat went into the Los Angeles Lakers building, crypto.com or whatever it's called. Okay, I like calling it Staples. All the old people call it Staples. I'm going to keep calling it Staples.
Let's keep calling it Staples.
As the Lakers lost 110-96 to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat were missing Jimmy Butler. They were missing Caleb Martin. They were missing Haywood Highsmith. There's 3 rotation players, including 2 starters. And in their place, they started Jaquez and Jovic. And so with Tyler Hero, that's pretty much the package that the Blazers were offered for Damian Lillard. And those guys went out and balled last night. Hero, 21 points, 6 rebounds. Jovic, 15 points, 8 rebounds. And Jaquez, 16 points and 8 assists. As I said, the Miami Heat steamrolled the Los Angeles Lakers. First of all, anytime LeBron plays the Heat, there is always added stakes to it.
Yeah, you could say there's some history.
Right. Some history, yeah. But more importantly, the Lakers have lost 3 in a row. They've lost 8 of their last 10. Charlotte, is it time for the Lakers to hit the red button and start panicking?
Which panic button? The fire the coach red button or the try to get as many players?
whatever panic means, right?
Yeah.
Is this okay?
I think it is, because you can't even blame it on Anthony Davis. He scored at least 20 in the past 6 games, and I feel like Anthony Davis has been a very trustworthy blame person for it's either that he's hurt or he's not performing, and he's performing, and clearly something is just not working. We're going to play a little game of Who's Lying in a minute here, Amin, and I have an Austin Reeves quote that I'm going to tease for the people, but I'm going to save for that game. I think it just looks, it's not, I don't think the depth that we thought was there is there. I think a lot of people,
the depth that y'all thought,
that we all, you didn't, you said it from the beginning. There were a lot of people who thought that they had depth with Gabe Vincent and Rui Hachimura and blah, blah, blah. And I do not think that depth, I mean, I know Gabe's been hurt, but we've got, there is trouble in paradise of the Southern California, not Florida variety.
To be fair, Rui Hachimura did not play last night. D'Angelo Russell did not play. But again, I would think, like, for Miami, their best player didn't play. Right. Their best player didn't play. And another one of their starters in Caleb Martin didn't play. And some would argue that Highsmith was a starter at the beginning of the year. So that's 3 starters. Yeah. I know with Miami that's a little bit more fluid. Lakers had their 2 best players and started their starting lineup. And so that, I mean, and again, it's not just last night, it's the last 10 games. Yeah. And it's not just that they lost, it's they got outscored 38. They gave up 38 points in the fourth quarter to a Miami team that I would say is not exactly an offensive juggernaut, right? Even with everybody healthy. I think this is a fringe top 10 offense with everybody healthy. Without them, they're middle of the road at best, bottom half of the league at worst offense. So the fact that the Lakers defense, which is kind of the thing that they hang their hat on because they're not that great offensively either, right? They couldn't stop Miami in the fourth quarter. That's tough.
So here's my question to you, Amin. What would you do to fix this? Or what would you do to start to try to change things? Because everyone's like, oh, Zach LaVine. Like, do you think I feel like there's bigger problems than adding one guy. Yeah.
On the one hand, he's 39. He's doing it. Last night, he only had 12 points. Like, is this how it starts? Like a errant game here or there. So this window feels like it's rapidly shrinking. So if we're going to do this, we got to do this right now. And we got to go all systems go, right? Flip side, he's 39 years old. Am I going to do deals now that will only marginally improve my chances of winning, but will have reverberations and long-lasting kind of not circumstances, what the word I'm looking for?
Could really screw ramifications you over in the future.
Yeah. So Zach LaVine is an example of that. Yeah. Do the Lakers need help with offense? Yes. Is Zach LaVine a good offensive player? Yes. Are you comfortable stuck with all that money? And basically, are you comfortable with a world where the Lakers have Zach LaVine and, Austin Reeves, and that's your core now? Like, probably not. That's not a good team, right? Still not. Yeah. It's still not Denver levels. It's still not Celtics levels. It's still not, hell, like I don't even know if that they're as good as the Sixers, who have been playing really well. So, and then if you look in the West, it's like, all right, does that make them better than the resurgent Clippers, who they've had the opposite? They've won 8 of their last 10 games and are on a really hot streak. Does that make them better than the Minnesota Timberwolves? A young team, yes, but look, they're pretty dominant, particularly on the defensive end. Does that make them better than the Thunder, who seem to be incredibly deep? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know if he's at that level where all he needs is a little bit of a Zach LaVine and now we're good.
No, it's something as simple as like when you, as we were talking about earlier, you watch the Pacers, there's delight, there's joy, it's fast, they're young. You cannot replace that. You can't turn back time, which is basically what the Lakers are fighting. They're fighting physics and like the way the world works right now. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe we need to do a hype me up for Lakers fans tomorrow. Because they might be real sad after hearing what you said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the world has always worked like that. Not it's not. Oh, hey, this time thing, huh? Whoa.
Well, that's what I mean. It always has. And the Lakers are pretending the Lakers are like, wouldn't it be cool if it didn't?
You said the way the world works right now.
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think it's like this. Hey, man, let me tell you something, man. This wasn't how it was back in the 80s. In the 80s, we did forever.
I've seen Back to the Future.
And then like Al Gore, the internet, and time all happened around the same time. And it's never been the same.
Yeah, and Mark Cuban got out before anybody else did.
Yep.
Amin, are you ready for my favorite game? A game where we try to tell if people are telling the truth or think they're lying, but saying... Are you ready for a game of Who's Lying?
Yes.
We're going to start off. Since we're in New York City, I'm going to stay right here in New York City with Jalen Brunson. After the Knicks beat the Bulls, Brunson had 13 assists, and he said, humble, sweet Jalen Brunson, the ball is just going through the hoop when I pass teammates the ball. It's not me. It's the ball is going in the hoop. It's them. It's all them. Is Jalen Brunson lying?
No. Listen up, because I'm a rabble rouser. I'm going to rouse some rabble right here. Rabble, you ready to be roused?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that sounds to me like someone said, like, yeah, I've been passing them these same passes all year long. It's just they're finally starting to make shots. Like, about time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think he really means that, but I that in my head canon, that's what's happening.
I like that.
He's like, I'm look here, watch. This is the shot. What am I? Is that me? I don't know. That's not me. I'm giving you good passes.
Nothing's changed on my end, my friends. Okay.
Ball's going through.
Well, now we're gonna go to sunny Los Angeles, where we just spent a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Reeves, he said that the mood was because of the Lakers losing streak, and he also said the vibes were off. But then he clarified. He came back and he was like, when I say the vibe is off, it's not like we don't like each other. It's we're losing. But I don't want to get that twisted on us not liking each other. Everybody in the locker room gets along.
Tentative truth. Yes, because if you keep losing, see how LeBron likes you then.
Right. Okay.
How y'all get along then? Y'all keep losing. That's not how that goes. So yes, true. Like if they start winning again, everything will be fine, or at least not losing this many.
A little bit like he's saying they like each other a little too often. For me, I'm like that's when I start to be like, are you guys good?
This was like the last year of the Jazz with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell when clearly that relationship was broken, and Quinn Snyder tried to convince everybody, no, there's no problem. Like they rode the bus together to practice. And like, did they? And then he added this weird extra, like, did they have breakfast together? No, they sat at different tables, but they like each other. I'm like, why would you add that? Why would you say any of that? So yes, I get what you're saying.
This is Damian Lillard after losing to the Pacers again. He says, I think the embarrassing part is that we're just so much better than what we've shown in games against them. I also don't look at it like, oh, it's just the regular season. We wanted to win these games. There's a lot that he could be lying about there.
Yeah. Is he telling the truth? Yes. Is he right? No. I'm not saying they're as bad as they've been in those games, but like you are what like you play the game. They didn't want no extenuating circumstances. If you're better than that, then you should have shown it. You had 2 opportunities this week to do that. Yeah. And you actually looked worse the second time than you did the first time. So
prove it, Dame.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to my favorite. This is Duncan Robinson, who went to Michigan. He was asked if he agreed with Jim Harbaugh when Harbaugh said that Michigan is America's team heading into the national championship where it's Michigan against Washington. Duncan Robinson says, Jimmy said it best. Jimmy Harbaugh, that is. America loves an underdog that's fought through some adversity. They've been through quite a bit, so I think he's right on in saying we're America's team.
I should ask you, you're the college football aficionado. I don't know. So let's flip it around. So Charlotte, is Duncan Robinson lying?
Yeah, he's lying. Everybody hates Michigan unless you went to Michigan. I don't even think Duncan Robinson could possibly believe it. I just think he didn't want to be publicly going against Jim Harbaugh saying Michigan was not America's team. Okay.
I would not have guessed that.
Bringing it to our favorite sad team, the Detroit Pistons. After they lost to the Jazz, who were playing without
Sad boys.
Yeah, the sad boys without the Jazz's three best players. Monty Williams, Coach Monty Williams, always good for a quote. He said, "A lot is going through my mind."
Remember when he said they're starting to figure it out?
Oh,
that was so long ago. They've
feels
won
like
since
a simpler
then.
time.
They've won since then. So I like.
They've won once. Since
hey, look, that's more than what they'd won before that, right? In the weeks
Fair.
before that. A lot. No, he's telling the truth. He's telling the truth. He's starting to think. You know what he's starting to think? He's starting to think, is it really worth it? Is the money really worth it? Hey, Monty, it is. Trust me.
Yeah. Keep going, Monty.
Just keep being bad. They'll fire you. You'll keep all your money, and then you get to spend all the time you want with your family. It's a win-win situation. Don't stress about it at all. I was talking about. I think I was talking. It was Jason Jackson. It was Jason Jackson, who's the radio voice of the Miami Heat, does the play-by-play for them on the radio. He also is my co-host on my Sirius XM NBA radio show on Sundays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. We're talking about Monty and the money, and I said he's fine. And Jason said something, but you know how it is. These guys are competitors, and it's not about the money. I said, yes, all that is true. Also, when someone pays you and keeps giving you, raising the number until you agree to take their job offer because you didn't want the job, and then this season happens, trust me, he's not torn up about it. If he was like, right. If this was Phoenix, yes, he'd be torn up about it because like, yo, I'm trying to do a good job here. You did it literally because they just dropped so much money you couldn't say no. He's not broken up about it. No chance.
The second.
So maybe he is lying. A lot goes through his mind, like, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna invest in this, I'm gonna take my family out to do this. Like maybe that's what he's got going on through his mind.
It's a lot. It might not be about the Pistons. Okay. Billy Donovan, coach of the Chicago Bulls, on their star, Zach LaVine, who has been out with an injury. Billy, and in obviously trade talks for many weeks. Billy said, to me, our discussions have been very, very positive. I think he wants to help the group as much as he can. I think I've said this before. I don't necessarily think it's so much that he has to change his game. It's what he does really, really well. Can he bring that to the table for us?
Oh, yeah. Billy's lying.
Yeah.
Billy's like, I can't stand this dude. Just say it, man. You don't want that dude. That team, like before the Vucevic injury or whatever, they had actually started to go on a real nice little run. They started to feel like, I think people had embraced their roles and identity, and all that happened in Zach LaVine's absence. I don't think it's a secret that's not a match made in heaven, Billy Donovan and Zach LaVine.
No, I don't think it's a secret at all.
So, like, I don't know why you're trying to play nice. I mean, I guess they told him, hey, man, with this injury, I don't know if we could trade him. All that money.
Right.
Like, damn, I got to be ready to get him back. All right, well.
I'm going to publicly say something nice.
Yeah.
All right. Our last Who's Lying of the day, Amin. We had Dame on the Pacers. Now we have Giannis on the Pacers. Quote, about losing to them repeatedly. You think about it. When you go home and sleep and wake up, you think about it. When you go back and work out, you think about it. When you're about to get freaky at night, you think about it.
Yeah, I believe it.
Ugh.
I believe, you know, it's funny.
Gross.
I used to work with his significant other.
Oh.
And I knew before they had met. And so it's like, I know who she is, whatever. And it's just like the thought of like,
yeah.
Like there's a mental image there. And I'm like, okay, this is uncomfortable. It's like, Giannis creeping into the bed, but then he's like, Tyrese Haliburton. I know he's too good. It's like, honey, what? Like, nothing. I'm coming.
Also, to say when you're about to get freaky at night and his nickname is a Greek freak, it feels a little. I feel like you got to use a different terminology. Just saying.
He is playfully mischievous in that way, right? So he toes the line. He's not gonna cross it, but he's gonna toe that line. I
think we've towed the line today. We will see you all tomorrow for another amazing episode of Oddball. All right, do we have to get out of here? Do I have to scramble?
You got 6 minutes.
Yeah.
You can mosey.